Alrighty. This should be starting. Let's test everything. Let's make sure everything is registering. And... oh, is it not? Okay, we're going. Hello, Noxley. Noxley, how do I, how are you in my chat before I even recognize my chat is going? Noxley, you're so good at that. Oh my goodness. Hello. I'm just gonna let everyone in the Discord know. Stream starting now. But hello, I survived. I'll be real honest. I'm not sure if I feel so alive, but Roots hasn't finished me off yet. Roots hasn't killed me yet. Let me see here. Let me get my camera all set up. That way I at least look a little friendlier on screen. I can be looking sick in real life, but I can still be looking friendly online. But yeah, today will be a bit of a shorter one. I figured we would have a little bit of yapping time for a few minutes, and then we would start chapter 2 of what author Relic has sent us for the 10th mark. We finished chapter 1, critique before, and I figured we could start chapter 2 because it looked like a short piece. I think it's only 5 pages. And I figured Cryptid sounds different? Oh no, do I sound that different? What's going on? Do I need another sippy? Is there an audio issue? I don't have Roots on here, so if there's an audio issue, go ahead and let me know. Let me see here. Audio issue? Or do I just sound sick? I hope I don't. I'm putting forth a lot of effort to not sound sick. You think it might be the sickness? Your tone isn't as high. Oh no. Oh no. Oh well, I'll still try to read it really good. I'll still try to read well. Like you sound. Okay, you're not a computer sound. Oh, I was about to say, if it's a tech issue, I'm on my own. Let me take a sippy. Let's see if that helps. Hold on, everyone. If you're staying up this late and you're still working on your writing, make sure you're staying hydrated too. Make sure you take a sippy. Oh my goodness, I was really hoping it wouldn't be noticeable though. It just proves Roots got me sick though. I'm really anxious. Just noticeable. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you guys have been watching me stream for a while now, right? So I guess if there is any difference, you guys would pick up on it. But yeah, we actually have a market tomorrow, and Roots is still kind of down. I'm still kind of down today. We got the work that we needed to get done, but we still haven't packed as much as we normally do the night before our market. And this is a really big market. This is one of our really big events. It's Goblin Market. And I'm really stressed about tomorrow actually, but I'm like, I called off yesterday for streaming. I didn't want to do it 2 nights in a row again, so I'm like, you know, I sound well enough. I'm okay. I had a nap. Well, let's go ahead and stream for a bit. Let's do a bit of writing critique, and then I'll I'll stay up late and pack for tomorrow. I don't know if there's anyone else in here who does like conventions or markets or stuff. Yeah, it's a market. It's Goblin Market in Central Florida. It's this really, really cool market. There's trading. There's people who dress up. People look forward to this market. The past little bit when it was hot, we had to do it indoors, and that got way too crowded because there were so many people. They couldn't get a venue big enough for all the people. But now that it's colder now, they're having it outside again, where there can kind of be an unlimited amount of people. They're expecting at least like 5,000 people to show up. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Noxley, you're on a 10 stream streak. Oh my goodness, thank you. That's so crazy. Thank you guys. Not you especially, Noxley, but a lot of you guys for hanging out with me as often as you guys do. You want to do a convention next year. CT Horror Fest. Is that Connecticut? The CT Connecticut Horror Fest? but their table price is a lot. Yeah, if it's an indoor convention especially over a market, their prices are expensive, which I have to weigh if I would recoup or not via sales. Yeah, it's really, really scared. And just as a general, as a cryptid who's done a lot of convention markets, in general, as a general thing, people who have like merchandise, as in like general merch, generally sell more than the authors who just have like a couple things of merch, right? They have like the 1 or 2 books or multiple of their books if it's a book series. They'll have like bookmarks or like a freebie bookmark, maybe some art prints or something other offer to sign it, but they don't have as much merch, and a lot of them are just pitching that book or their books, and it's harder to make those sales sometimes at conventions, especially to recoup the full cost of a con booth, because con booth is expensive, I'm not gonna lie. Markets compared to conventions are a little cheaper. So I've seen, with my amount of markets, I've seen one author who was selling a lot. Which convention are you prepping for? For me, for Author Relic, they're going to CT Horror Fest, which I think that might be like Connecticut Horror Fest. But I am prepping for Goblin Market, so it's not a convention. It's a huge market though, huge market. They are expecting the minimum expectation is about 5,000 people to show up tomorrow for this market. That's only a little over a year old. But man, it's so amazing. I love the people. It's one of my favorite markets to both vend and attend at. I love Goblin Market. CT Horror Fest is doing a sponsor event for vendors. And then after that, if there are spots, it's $375 per an 8x9 spot. I'm not used to seeing that size. Okay, an 8x9. Your wife isn't free, and all you get is 2 chairs and a 6-foot table, which is mad. You can bring your own stuff though. That's what we do. Like me and Roots, and Mama Cryptid, right? We have all these table setups. We have so many tables. We had to choose which tables we want to bring for each setup. But $375 is a fat chunk when you also had to buy 100 copies of your book at least. Is that in Chicago? CT Horror Fest? I have no idea. For Goblin Market, it's just here in Central Florida. It's, I think it's in the Oviedo Mall, if my brain isn't completely failing me right now. Yeah. But Goblin Market, there are other places that host Goblin Markets, but it's not this exact same company, right? But I do know there are other states that have their own version of Goblin Market. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago has one. But here, the organizer behind the Florida one, oh my god, I love them. We actually make official merch for them. They actually have us make official Goblin Market patches and merch for them, which is super, super cool to actually not just love an event, but actually have that event like love your business in particular, and you make merch for them. It's really, really awesome. I'm not used to an 8x9. Normally I'll see like a 3x6, I'll see a 6x6, I'll see a 10x10. An 8x9 spot? I don't know if I've seen an 8x9. You'd love to start your own business selling kids' clothes and stuff. Well, kids' clothes gets tricky. Been thinking about opening an Etsy, but IDK if it's worth it. Well, it definitely depends. Our business is mostly on Etsy, right? We're still setting up the Shopify. We technically have the Shopify. I haven't really started fully selling on it yet, just because we're not ready. There's too many other things going on, right? So it's not bad to start, especially if it's your own designs. If you're selling like fandom stuff, you can try, but don't be mad if they start noticing you and give you some cease and desist stuff, right? It's nothing scary. They just send you the cease and desist, and then you cease and desist, and that's it. But if it's your own original stuff, it's good. If you want to start it as an official like business, like a legal business, I have heard rumors of sometimes with kid clothes, it is harder to insure because they have higher safety standards for kids' clothes compared to regular clothes. That might just be with baby clothes. Like baby clothes, right? Some of them can't be polyester because they're worried about the babies like getting burned in the clothes. So there's a lot of safety regulations and licensing and permit issues with like baby clothes. So I don't go fully into all that. That's not my specialty, so I don't know a lot about it. But I have heard stuff like that, so you might have to be aware of that. But if you're selling like older kids' clothes, you might be fine. There might not be as much legal stuff to worry about. But yeah, the thing with Etsy is it's cheap enough to start out, right? It's only 20 cents per listing. So you can start it, and then if you never sell anything, like the worst case scenario, you don't sell anything, you spent what? $1, one whole dollar to post like five products for like a couple months worth of 5 listings, and you spent $1. It's a really easy investment. As you're scaling bigger, if you're already making sales and you're like, oh wait, this is an actual viable thing I can do, I'm making sales, then Etsy isn't great because it takes a little chunk of change. It takes a pretty high percentage fee, and it has a lot of fees that stack up on top of each other. But to see if like you can do product photography, can you make good product descriptions, can you practice your SEO to make your listings appear in search, to start out, to test it, to see if you can run a business, if you can make all those products, Etsy is great for that. Even me and Roots now, like that's what we started with, that's what we're at, and now we're scaling so big, we're like, oh, now we need to have like our own website, which I got the domain name, I have cryptidroots.com, but somebody else bought it for us as like a friendly thing, and now those people aren't like close family friends anymore, but they still have the domain name, and I'm over here like, give me my domain name. I want cryptidroots.com, but they never handed it over before stopping being family friends. So now the Shopify is like cryptidroots.shopify or cryptidroots.shopping or something like that, right? I hate it. I want cryptidroots.com, and I bought it, I sent the money for it, but somebody else bought it for us to be a helpful bunny, and it was not the most helpful bunny thing now all these years later. CT Horror Fest was in Hartford, Connecticut. I was right, it was Connecticut, okay. Stamford, but this year it's going to be in Doubletree by Hilton in Connecticut. Yeah, I definitely suggest before doing a huge market, that's like a couple hundred, I'd say for market, that's not the most insane booth fee. Are conventions expensive, especially compared to markets? Yeah, it's hundreds of dollars, hundreds and hundreds. Is that the most outrageous convention fee I've ever seen? Not even close. Some really well established conventions, especially with a bigger spot, like an 8x9, not just a little 3x6. For a really popular, well established one, it's more expensive than that easily. They can be really expensive. Now, would I suggest for booksellers in particular, jump right into a multiple $100 convention space? It's tricky. Authors have a lot harder making the money back than convention artists, like people who have art prints, than people who make merchandise like me and Roots. And even in the convention sphere, those artists and those merch makers are having a lot of trouble the past few years, even at well-established ones. It's risky right now. A lot of people are having trouble, if they are convention artists, making money back, even at popular ones. So that is just something to be aware. The wife and you have been a few times, met some big movie stars and all that, but you like the small book vendors. Yeah. But now, even if that was something you liked, you have to think of hello, Frozen Scarecrow, it's so good to see you. I think I messaged you just the other day too. Maybe I'm getting all my days confused. I'm still sick, but hello, it's so good to see you. Maybe I want to do events, but by the time you hear about them, you don't have either the money or the book stock to be like, hey, put me down for this. Yeah, conventions, you're applying for a year ahead of time or 6 months ahead of time. Very rarely, unless it's like a smaller market, am I doing it like a month or like a few weeks before, like 1 or 2 months before. Those are smaller markets. My biggest events, which are World Oddities Expo, and we apply for about a year in advance. They open up all their applications for the year at once for preferred vendors, which me and Roots are because we're nice. And Markets sound fun, but very stressful. They are. And it's very fun, and it's very stressful, and they're very expensive. So yeah, Author Relic, no, for some of our markets that we apply for them, our big ones, our best ones, a year in advance. And those are hundreds of dollars. Some of them are out of state now. Goblin Market is our other biggest one, but even that one's a month or so in advance because they go month by month. If they were more well established, if they were like an older one, they're popular enough that they would probably have their applications on a year basis too. Really, really big ones, they're about a year out. But yeah, Frozen Scarecrow, you've seen you're in Florida area like me too. Maybe I don't know if it's just Florida. I don't know what, but I was saying that a lot of markets, even artists and merch makers, right, we're having a lot of trouble making our booth fees and all our costs back at markets. They're well attended. People like visiting, especially a free con, or at least a cheap convention. But that doesn't necessarily mean, even though there's a high attendance number, that doesn't mean that they're spending at those markets. They're just there for fun and to ooh and ah over some things, get some prints signed, meet some voice actors and stuff like that, and go home because money's really tight for everyone right now. It's true. So you did a Halloween market, you found out about it like 2 weeks before. Then I found it a holiday local author event 4 towns over, and it's on December 11th, just found out about it. You don't have stock right now to do them. Yep, and whenever stuff like that happens, I save wherever I found them from. Normally it's like an Instagram post or something. I save them. There's like a little bookmark thing. You can save those posts. And then as much as it sucks, it's part of the learning curve. Then that's something I know, like, oh, I missed it this year. I have to try and apply for it next year. And sometimes it's really good just to attend them as a regular attendee. See what the numbers are. Ask the vendors. They're like, oh, how is your day going? How's the sales? How's the crowds? And stuff like that. And sometimes people even answer you like, oh yeah, well, this was better last year, but the past few years it's declining. Sometimes they'll even tell you info like if they think other people should do it or not. Don't bother them if they're like in the middle of like a sale or something, or they're talking with people. But sometimes if it's quieter, and sometimes you can ask them. And sometimes the people vending an event that you're attending will actually let you know. Some of my market buddies, you'll actually start making friends with people in markets as you start doing them, and you'll recognize them over the years, and you'll like give each other hints and stuff. They'll be like, oh my god, did you hear about this market? And I'll be like, yeah, I wasn't able to attend, I already had something else. They're like, don't ever do it was horrible. We'll give each other like insider scoops, and that just takes time. It takes time to establish. You'll sign up for 1 or 2 things the first year. They'll bomb because they're like last minute things, right? And then you'll have the bigger things you wanted to apply for, and you'll have the foresight to apply for them when they're open for next year. And then over the years, you'll start learning which markets, which conventions that you do good at or you don't do good at, which ones are too expensive for you, which one is your target audience, which one doesn't have enough people showing up, etc. It's that learning curve. And sadly, yeah, every single initial investment is a gamble. It is. And you have to decide, like, is that money worth a gamble, or is that money better put towards something that's a guarantee? Like better book cover art, better bookmarks, better limited edition, better an advertisement on a podcast or something, whatever it is. That kind of stuff. But yeah, for a convention, I do them. Me and Roots do them, but it is with the knowledge every single time. It is technically a gamble. And sometimes there are ones that are just that learning cost of, hey, we did this one, it was super cool, we invested a lot to make it good, and it was an utter flop. It was an absolute, like, we did not even make Table Booth back. We didn't even make the cost of food we spent this weekend back. And that sucks, and I'm going to go home and cry about it. And then we just know that was the cost of knowing we can't do that market, or sometimes we can't even do any markets by that event runner, right? The event runner just wasn't good. But it is a learning curve, I will tell you that. Even if you have a really, really good one your first try, me and Roots did. Our first convention ever was really great for us. it isn't a guarantee it will be great for you next year. You know, it really sucks, but it is a gamble. I'll be straight with you. What was I saying earlier? But hello everyone. Yes, and for everyone just starting to listen, people already mentioned my voice is a little lower today. I am sick, so this stream will be a little bit shorter. But Author Relic has been so kind to share some of the first chapters of the 10th Mark, their already published book, and still, like, even though it's already published, listen to my feedback about it, right? And we finished the first chapter the other stream, and I wanted to make sure that we got a little bit more of the content and more of that feedback, because they did submit it. So today we'll be covering chapter 2. 2021, met Peter Maloney, Thomas G. Waits from The Thing. Your wife met Rachel True from The Craft in 2023. Yeah. You met Bonnie Aarons from The Conjuring. She was rude. Oh no. All these really cool people. Had a chance to meet Bill Mosley, but we decided to not spend the 90 for a selfie. Or Jake, yeah. But yeah, some of those, like, when they're really expensive, hold on, I'm gonna adjust my chair. There might be some squeaking in the background. Hold on. When they're really, really expensive, like selfie pictures and stuff like that, I almost never get those. Maybe I'm showing that I'm like near 30 now. I remember when we went to conventions and stuff, and it was still like a lame kid thing to do. You were still a nerd. And when you did meet these cool, like, people or voice actors or artists or stuff, right? Like the big people who had that for their meet and greets, it was like, the pictures and the autographing was free if you wanted to buy their specific merch for an autograph. Like, sometimes they'd have a shirt or like a CD or an art book or something like that, or just a print, whatever it was. You could buy that for money. You could buy physical merch for them, but they would sign it for free. But like the autographs and the pictures with them were normally free. And I feel like then they realized over the years that this is like a cooler thing now. It's like becoming cool. It's more and more mainstream each year, and that they can make money from it. And now it's like a huge thing for them to charge money, and a lot of money, for this stuff, because they know that this is like the one event where you could see them. You're not going to see them outside a Trader Joe's the next day. You're not going to see them at a Walgreens next month. If you want to take that picture with them, like, hey, this is the time, and that year or in multiple years you're going to do it. And so they charge a lot for it. And I'm like, oh, I don't like it. I remember when this stuff was free because everyone was lame. This all needs to go back to being lame. It would lower the prices for sure. But yes. Would we like to start story time now? Because I have no idea how long my voice will be good for. No clue. Could give out of me on any second. So I think we'll go ahead and start story time. But this, we finished chapter 1 the other day. So if anyone's here and they didn't see that, if you're lost or confused, it's because of that. We're starting chapter 2, not chapter 1. Chapter 1's already done. And I haven't fully read through this at all. I just like looked how many pages it was. I think it's 5 pages. So it's gonna be another blind read. Okay. Oh, this is a longer one. Michael Ironside was so nice. We got in line for him, waited 10 minutes, spoke with him for about 7 minutes. Wow, normally they don't speak to you for that long. That's crazy. He asked if we wanted an autograph. We told him we didn't have the money for both an autograph and photo. He grabbed an autograph and signed it for free. That's really nice, and took a photo. Give me some advice. He goes, happy wife equals learning when to shut the F up and say yes, honey. Everyone laughed. He was so sweet. That's really awesome. What a special memory you have with that. Yeah, there's a lot of like voice actors or other cool people that younger Cryptid, right? When I was a teenage Cryptid, I did get to see them at like conventions and stuff, and it was so cool. It was so like amazing. And I do have like positive memories of stuff like that happening. But man, I feel like now as there's getting like as it gets more sensationalized, and there's longer and bigger crowds for it that are like really shortly timed, there's less and less chance for that every now and again. I know some people still have it. I just feel like in comparison to frequency, it's less frequent now. Especially for like if you have like a really big person, like if you have like a really big VTuber who was like at the TwitchCon awards, right? I mean, ignoring all that like really bad stuff, and there was a lot of it that happened at the TwitchCon stuff, if you guys have heard about that. But I know like some of the other the less crazy, horrifying issues was also like people would be waiting in line for their internet VTuber or their Twitch stream or whatever, right, to meet with them. And then the person there who's holding the meet and greet is like, yeah, I'll still hang out with them. I want to sign more autographs and stuff. And then Twitch employees would tell them like, nope, you're out of here. And they would like tell all the people in the line to get out. And they're like, no, it's still time. We can still hang out with them. They're like, nope. Matthew Elliott was there, but his price was like $100 for an autograph. Yeah. But his line was packed. I believe it. People waited 4 hours in line to meet him. Yep. You're not waiting that long. Yeah, stuff like that sometimes what people do, and you'll still hear people complaining about. I'm not saying to do it. I'm just letting you know people do it. They'll have a buddy, and so one buddy will be in line holding the spot. The other buddy will go around, like get them the snacks, take pictures of different booths, wander around, take a stretch, look at some artwork, check out some booths, and then they'll like tag out. So then the buddy comes back and they now wait in the spot line. They're holding it, and the person who was holding the line now gets to go and explore, and they'll go back in and out until it gets near the line, and then as they're getting towards the front, they'll like text the other person who's currently out, like, hey, come back, we're almost at the front, and then they'll both be in the line now. But yeah, while it's the really long line, they'll normally take turns. Yeah, I'm never going to TwitchCon. No matter who's there, never. I mean, not that it's too far away for me to visit, and I'm too small to ever be invited there. But in general, in my non-existent soapbox platform, yeah, I would never go to TwitchCon. For the people who do, I'd be like, are you sure you want to go? Are you sure you can't back out? It's too scary. And there's been multiple things that's happened over the years, right? Like even the ball pit that TwitchCon had one year, but it was too shallow, and it was concrete underneath, and then that poor woman like shattered her spine or broke her spine, right? Like, that's horrific. That's so scary. There's just a lot of... Oh, just wanted to say your voice is very soothing. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much. That's very kind. Have a wonderful day, even if you're going out to other streams. I hope you have a good one, okay? Thank you. That's so sweet. I feel so bad that I'm sick today. Yep, they doxed multiple VTubers, made them not stream with VTuber models. Yeah, they even like tried to get them to show their faces and verify their identity while they were out in public with other attendees in line, because they were like, oh hey, I'm one of the streamers, I need to go through, I need to get past the line, here's my badge. And the security was like, nope, we need you to take off your mask, we need you to show your ID, you need to state your name, you need to state all this different stuff. Really scary stuff. Really scary stuff. Yeah, but I mean, so again, it's my kind of non-existent soapbox. I'm too small. I've only been streaming for a month at this point, right? But yeah, for a lot of other people, I know it's a huge thing now, because it's been multiple years of unsafe practices, right? That maybe I'm saying it as a vendor standpoint, because me and Roots do a lot of events as vendors, as with the Cryptid Roots business. It would never be a convention that we would feel safe vending at. Because a lot of our favorite stuff, right? Sometimes even as just a vendor, it's just a normal passerby, there are unsafe people. I know there were unsafe people there with Emiru and others, right? And they were being inappropriate with the big talent. But even as just people, especially me, right? I'm a female, right? Sometimes I'm the only one there at the booth, or me and Mama Cryptid, right? So sometimes like a lot of convention artists are just women, and sometimes they're solo women. And sometimes there are people who are appropriate or act in a way they shouldn't when you are solo and at a booth and you're crowded but you're like surrounded by people, but no one's really paying attention to you, right? There are some, and some of my favorite conventions have had not like top tier security, but decent security in case anyone steals something, in case anyone is inappropriate, in case anyone's unsafe. There has been some level of security that you're like, okay, if I go to this exhibition hall doors, there is a security officer there and they'll come by and they'll take care of this, right? There was even one time I was at a convention and there was my booth buddy, so the person next to me who was having their own booth, had a medical emergency. Absolutely, like, could not respond, medical emergency. And I happened to know that there was medical staff on hand for this event because it was a very, very large event. They did have medical staff. I just didn't know where they were. So I had a different booth buddy watch them and watch their table and stuff. And then I ran up to one of the people watching the doors, one of the people, and I'm like, hey, you need to radio and we need medical attention. There's a medical emergency with one of my artists next to me in this aisle. And they radioed in and we got medical attention from them. They were fine. Everything was okay. Maybe. But you know, having for anything, for all the crazy stuff that happens when you have a lot of people gathered together in one building or one venue, anything can happen, whether it's bad attention or not. Like I just said, that was a medical emergency. Sometimes there's stealing. Sometimes there is inappropriate behavior towards other guests. TwitchCon, right there, there's sometimes unsafe things there. Sometimes there are people being really unsafe to the talents. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff that happens when you have that many people together. And as event runners, even if you're not always perfectly prepared for stuff, how you respond to stuff says a lot about you. And for multiple years now, Twitch hasn't responded or handled well any of the stuff that has happened at its convention and its venues. So as a vendor, not even as a streamer or talent, but as a vendor, I would not trust me and Roots to be safe there. You know, that has an impact. Full-on Twitch patch only given to streamers, but nope, who is you? Yeah, I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby streamer. But yeah, so I'm saying, like, not even as a streamer thing, as just somebody who sells and attends and works these markets, right? We're the first people to load into a market. We are the last people to load out. You know, vendors do go there. We are there for like the whole experience. We work the whole time. And so we do see a lot more behind the scenes stuff than most attendees do. And we're aware of more issues sometimes that happen at an event than attendees do. But yeah, just as a vendor, I would be too scared to go to TwitchCon. I would never bring Roots to it, you know? I mean, Roots is also an adult. They can make their own decisions. It's not like I'm in charge of them. So maybe Roots would be like, peace out, Cryptid, and they'd have like... they'd have a party over there without me, be like, whoa! Who knows? But yeah, I think that was I meant to only yap with you guys for 5 minutes, and it's been over half an hour. I'm so sorry. So yeah, how about we have our story time? If anyone's new lurking or hanging around here, story time, there are people in Discord, right? Anybody here. You don't have to be a follower or subscriber, but there is a Discord, and you submit your own writing. It can be published, it could be a rough draft, it could be a plot outline, but you can submit some of your own writing. And I will actually read it here live, and then at the end of it, we give 1 or 2 critiques to help make it the best possible piece it can be, right? To help guide you a little bit, because sometimes when we write stuff, it's really hard to know, okay, I wrote this thing, how do I make it better? How do I make my next piece or project better? It's really, really hard unless you have that network and you get critique and you get feedback. So that's what this is. It's story time, and it's just 1 or 2 pieces of critique. Hi, Luna. You walking around? The cat's walking around. She's cute. So I'm going to lift up my mic. I'm sorry if it makes a bad noise. It's just to bring it a little bit closer. And yeah, everyone tune in for story time. This is chapter 2 of The 10th Mark. It's an already published indie piece by author Relic here in chat. By the time Evelyn unpacked the last box labeled bathroom, the sky had sunk from misty gray to a deep, bruised blue. The rain had returned in soft, uneven bursts, ticking against the windows like fingers testing for entry. Somewhere beyond the apartment, a dog barked twice and went quiet. Daniel sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by a sprawl of action figures and an unzipped duffel bag. Milo lay nearby, chin on his paws, eyes flicking toward every creak in the floorboards above. "Mom," Daniel said, not looking up, "can I have the big blanket for tonight?" "Which big blanket?" she asked, wiping her hands on her jeans. "The red one from the car. The soft one." "Sure," she said, stepping into the hallway to fetch it. Opening the hallway closet and grabbing the blanket, as she closed the door, a draft moved through the narrow corridor. A cold, brief sweep that made the back of her neck prickle. Taking a pause. "These old houses do get chilly," Evelyn says as she brings the blanket back to Daniel and drapes it over his shoulders. He smiled. "Thanks." The clock on the wall ticked louder than she remembered. She looked at it. 5:52 p.m. Dinner. Something simple, something warm. Evelyn managed to pull together something that passed for dinner, even though the kitchen was left half unpacked. Spaghetti, slices of bread, and homemade sauce from before the move. They ate on the couch, plates balanced on their laps, the television on low in the background, playing one of the many cartoons that Daniel enjoyed. Daniel poked at the strand of spaghetti, twirling it slowly around his fork. "Mom, why did we have to move?" he asked, his voice small but clear. Evelyn paused, her fork halfway to her mouth. She set it down carefully on the plate. "We needed a new start, remember? Somewhere quieter." "Because of Dad?" he asked without looking up. A lump formed in her throat. She reached over and brushed a crumb from his cheek. "Because sometimes people need to find a place that helps them feel better," she said softly. Daniel chewed, silent. The cartoon characters laughed on TV, their bright colors flickering across the room. Evelyn watched him, wishing she could bottle up his innocence, keep it safe from the world, and from the darkness lurking in Hemlock Falls. "Will we stay here forever?" he asked suddenly. She swallowed hard. "I hope so," she lied. Milo rested on the floor between them, ears flicking every time a car passed on the wet road outside. Hold on. My foot's falling asleep. I gotta adjust again. I'm so sorry. Let me get all situated out again. That was crazy. Okay. Every time a car passed on the wet road outside, Evelyn's mind started to drift to the diner, to Martha's warm smile and the way it didn't quite reach her eyes. She thought about the way the town looked, almost like an old man looking into a mirror he didn't recognize. Then a knock at the door. 3 short raps, firm, intentional. They both froze at the sudden sound. Milo stood up and gave a low chuff. Not a growl, not a bark, then padded to the door, tail stiff. "Stay there," Evelyn told Daniel, setting her plate down on the couch. She crossed the room and looked through the peephole. A tall man stood on the other side, broad-shouldered with a brimmed hat sprinkled by rain. A dark uniform. Sheriff's badge on the chest. Evelyn opened the door about halfway before asking,
Can I help you, Sheriff? The man tipped his hat. Evening, ma'am. Sheriff Pike. You just moved into Hawthorne Street today, is that right? That's right, Evelyn said in an unsteady tone while gripping the edge of the door. Just doing my rounds, he said, voice low but not unkind. I'd like to stop by when someone new comes to town. Most people around here know each other. Just part of the job to say hello. She opened the door wider. You want to come in for a minute? He glanced at the floor, then at Milo, who stood silently now, staring. Sure, just for a moment. She let him in. Daniel sat up straighter on the couch, eyes wide. Evening, young man, Pike said with a nod. Daniel waved. Hi, mister. Sheriff Pike stepped inside and removed his hat. Tucking it under one arm. His hair was graying at the temples, short and combed flat. His eyes moved over the room once. Casual, but not careless. You settling in all right? He asked Evelyn. As well as anyone can with a carload of boxes and a curious 6-year-old. That's about what I expected, he said with a small smile. I don't mean to intrude. Just thought it was fair to let you know, well, a little about where you are. Evelyn stiffened slightly. Go on. Pike's smile faded. He looked past her, toward the window, as if considering his words carefully. Hemlock Falls is small, old. Folks here don't like a lot of change, but they're good people, decent people. He paused. Still, there's been trouble. Evelyn said nothing. Pike cleared his throat. There have been some incidents over the past year. 9 of them, to be exact. All of them died by murder. That line's a little funny. Daniel froze mid-bite. Evelyn glanced at him, then back at Pike. 9? Sheriff Pike nodded. We don't know who's behind it. No clear motive, no connection between the victims that we found. Media calls it the Silent 9. Folks around here don't call it anything. They lower their voices and keep their doors locked. Evelyn's stomach tightened. And you think I came here because of that? Pike's eyes didn't waver. I think people move to places like this for a reason. Fresh starts, maybe. Quiet, distance. He let that sit a moment, then added, but I also think you ought to know the truth of this place and its happenings. People are nervous, and not everyone welcomes new faces. Daniel set his plate aside. Are we in danger? The sheriff looked at him, then at Evelyn. No. If I thought you were, I wouldn't have waited until dinner, he says in a reassuring tone. He took a card from his pocket and handed it to Evelyn. If you see anything strange, or anything that doesn't sit right, you call me, day or night. Evelyn took the card, her fingers brushing the edge. Thank you. Pike nodded once more, put his hat back on, and turned toward the door. I'll let you finish your dinner. Evelyn opened the door for him, and he paused before stepping out. One more thing, he said. The person doing this, they're not loud. They're not messy. They're careful, intentional. His gaze was steady. You seem like someone who notices things. Just trust what you notice. He steps off the porch and slowly walks back to his patrol car, a 1960s Plymouth Satellite. Right before opening the door, the sheriff turns to give Evelyn one last tip of his hat before starting the vehicle and driving off into the mist. The taillights slowly faded in the distance. The dishes were washed, Daniel was back in his room playing with Milo, and the rain had finally stopped. Evelyn stood on the porch for a long moment, hands in the pockets of her coat, the cool night air settling around her like a second skin. The wind had shifted, pulling the scent of wet pine and damp pavement through the neighborhood. It was quiet, not city quiet, but rural quiet. That heavy, hollow stillness that made every distant creak and flutter feel important. Stepping off the porch and starting down the sidewalk, arms folded tight across her chest. A short walk, just enough to ease her nerves. The conversation with Sheriff Pike hadn't left her mind. He hadn't been rude, he hadn't been threatening, but something about the way he said, "Trust what you notice," stuck in her ribs like a dull knife. She moved past darkened houses, each with small curtain windows like half-lidded eyes. At the end of the block, a narrow path led to an empty playground. The swings were still slick with rain, the metal chains catching the faint glow of a street lamp. One swing moved just slightly, creaking in the quiet as though someone had only moments before stepped away. Some houses still had Halloween decorations sagging in the window. Plastic ghosts and paper bats wilting in the moisture. They looked less festive and more tired. A light flickered on behind a second-story window across the street. She glanced up instinctively and paused. A figure stood in the window, still, unmoving. She couldn't make out the features, just the silhouette. Curtains barely parted. The shape of a man, maybe, watching. Evelyn stood for a moment too long, her skin prickling at the back of her neck. The figure didn't wave, didn't turn away, just remained. Evelyn continued walking, a bit faster now. Her boots scuffed the wet sidewalk. Passing rows of mailboxes, numbers peeling. A garbage bin rattled faintly in the night breeze behind one of the houses, even though it wasn't trash night. At the end of the block, she turned around. The light in the window was off. The figure was gone. She stood there, heartbeat steady but quick, trying to tell herself it was nothing. Someone is standing up. Someone's stretching. Someone noticed a stranger walking past their house and simply watching. Small towns were full of watchers. Still, the silence followed her home like a shadow. Evelyn hung her coat by the door and took off her boots. The apartment was warm and quiet. Daniel's bedroom door was ajar, the light inside still on. Milo lay guard at the foot of the bed, tail thumping once as Evelyn peeked in. Daniel was sitting up in bed, knees tucked to his chest, one of his favorite books balanced on his lap. His glasses were slightly crooked, his hair fluffed from sleepiness and static. The red blanket was bunched at his feet. "Still up?" Evelyn said softly. Daniel nodded, slowly pulling his blanket up to his chin. "I was waiting." "For what?" replied Evelyn with a slight giggle, acting as if she had no idea what he was talking about. "For the story. You said you still read it." She smiled. "So I did." She sat on the edge of the bed and took the book for him. The Wind in the Willows, dog-eared and worn at the spine. She opened the page already marked with a gum wrapper. Daniel leaned his head against her arm as she began to read. It was a golden afternoon, and the river lay dreaming under the sun. Her voice softened as she went on. The words were familiar and comfortable, like slippers worn smooth by years of use. Daniel's eyes drooped steadily as the minutes passed, his breathing slowing, his fingers finally unclenching the edge of the blanket. By the time she closed the book, he was asleep. She tucked the blanket around him and leaned down to kiss his forehead. "Good night, kiddo." She stepped into the hall, turned off the light, and pulled the door almost shut behind her. Milo remained curled just outside, unmoving. She left the hallway in silence and moved into the kitchen, barefoot on cool tile. The overhead light buzzed faintly as she turned it on, casting pale shadows across the walls. The place was clean, but old. Everything felt a little too still, like it had been waiting for someone to move back in and disturb the dust. Evelyn opened the cabinet, grabbed a glass, and filled it from the faucet. The water was cold. She leaned against the counter and took a slow sip, then turned to stare out the kitchen window. It was nearly black outside now. The glass only reflected her face at her, thinking about the way Sheriff Pike had stood in that doorway, polite and calm. The person doing this, they're not loud, they're not messy, they're careful, intentional. He'd said it like a man who'd already rehearsed it too many times, like he hated the truth of it. And when she told him she hadn't come to Hemlock Falls because of the murders, he didn't challenge her. He just gave her a look that said he didn't believe it. Evelyn exhaled and set the glass in the sink. Outside, the trees were nothing but shapes now, tall and swaying behind the reflection of her face in the dark glass. The apartment was still. Too still. She stood there for another beat, listening to the rain. Then reached up, turned off the light, and left the kitchen in silence. And that is chapter 2. Alrighty, so let me organize my thoughts here. I'm still sick, so my thoughts are my thoughts are a little slow on catching up with me. Hold on. I did note, I don't want to say like every single individual one, because again, the point of the 1 to 2 pieces of critique is to help you for your next work. Especially since this is already published, right? So just pointing out one specific error isn't the most helpful for whenever you do a next project. Hold on, my lo-fi beats. Okay. But in general, this, I didn't notice it too much in chapter 1, if I noticed it at all. But this chapter, there were 1 or 2 lines. Yeah, I said they were funny. The lines are funny. Some of them were just, like either the tense was like a little off or like it felt a little cut short. I noticed it with like 1 or 2 of the sentences here. And maybe just because it's not chapter 1, maybe you had more people rereading chapter 1 to make sure it was a really strong chapter 1. Chapter 2, I did notice it a bit here. So that just might be something like, hey, make sure you have that line by line edit. Make sure you're reading it aloud, even for the later chapters. Because little things like that slip through. Let me see here. Short walk. I'm being quiet just because I'm trying to find one of the examples. Part of the thing too, I think so yeah, just double check your sentence line by line. Make sure that they're all as individual sentences strong, that they have the right tense, that they're not cut off a little short, that they run on a little too long. The other thing, I was a little surprised with Evelyn's reactions here. I really liked her in the first chapter. I was like, yeah, this is a really strong character. This is really interesting. So chapter 1 establishes that she is just escaped. She is like in the car with the trash bags of her stuff and the boxes of her stuff, right? With her child, and they are GTFO. They are getting the F out from this bad, like, unsafe relationship she had with Daniel's dad. Not sure if it was her husband or her boyfriend or what, but Daniel's dad. Now they stopped at a diner. They then went straight to the house. This is, I'm assuming, that same night, which I'm like, oh wow, I thought it was later during the first one. But it's still They still had time to get there and unpack enough, and then it's not even 6 p.m. yet by the time she starts dinner, so she's able to unpack everything enough to then make dinner. I'm like, oh, that's really fast. Okay. It must have been earlier than I thought in chapter 1. But she has this moment, and I'm like, okay, this is good. She's thinking now that Daniel's talking about his dad, so Daniel has just brought it up. You can look at it as either the same night or the next day. Book doesn't really explain timeout. I have a hard time doing that. I assumed it was the same day because the sheriff mentioned he waited until dinner time. He didn't say he waited until the next day. He said he waited until dinner time, so that's why I thought it was the same day. Just because of the sheriff having that line. He's like, oh yeah, I waited to check on you guys moving in until you were done with dinner. Rather than I waited to let you guys settle in for a day, and I'm checking in on you guys on the next day, right after you guys have settled in. Just that one line made me think it was the same day. But yeah, I had, I'm surprised. So she is just either 1 to 2 days, right, depending on how you read it, just gotten out of this bad relation, this unsafe relationship. Daniel has just brought up his dad, so the idea of that man is top of her mind, right? He has just brought it up. Then there is the knock on the door. They're all tense because they don't know anybody here. And she then sees this new man, this person she hasn't known before. Yes, he has a sheriff badge. But she sees this new man right after getting out of this bad, unsafe relationship with a man. Right after just thinking about that unsafe relationship with that man with her kid. And here's this new strange man here. And she lets him in. She lets in the sheriff. She's the one who offers it. He doesn't even ask her to come in. And then she's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a sheriff. It's probably fine. She's alone with her kid. Just having fled. And she offers for this guy to come in. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm a little thrown off. I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is early. This might not be as modern. I know sometimes before there was a lot more invitations. Hello, T, it's good to see you. It's one of the big issues with people trying to read the Nancy Drew books now, right? A lot of modern audience, sometimes the biggest issue they have with Nancy Drew books being unbelievable is that Nancy Drew just goes up to these strangers and she knocks on their door and she asks, hi, can I talk with you? And they let her in. And they hang out with her and talk with her and answer her questions. And it's well, that would never happen. And it happens in every book. But at the time, yeah, that's what happened. Book doesn't explain the time, but it's set in the 60s. Okay, so yeah, 60s, it's more normalized to be letting people in. And having that, even if they were strangers. But even then, I'd still think she might be more hesitant. I would even have maybe made the sheriff be the one to suggest, oh, can I come in? Because he wants to get out of the rain. And then she has to hesitate, right? Because she doesn't feel safe, and she has to, after a moment, be like, oh, yeah, sure, because she's polite. And it's a sheriff, and it's probably fine. But I was a little taken aback as a woman reading her and reading that she just went through this, she's just gotten out, that she's actually one to say, she's like, oh yeah, do you want to come on in? Strange man I haven't met before, hello, come on in. Here's me and my kid, we're alone here. I was like, oh wait. But yeah, 60s, it then does make sense that guests do come into your living room more often to talk, even for a short conversation. I would, if this wasn't already published, if this was still a draft, that would be one of the pieces of edit I would do. It might make more sense to the readers for the characters to flip it around. I guess the time frame you were going for was a few days out of the relationship, moving away and taking time to get to the new town. Okay. But yeah, even then, even if it's just a few days, that the trauma, the responses, how you view life doesn't just suddenly go back to normal. Especially now she is now this single woman taking care of her kid and this dog, right? She kind of has to be on the alert. because she's the one who has to protect them. She's the one who has to keep them safe, right? So if this was still something that you were working on, I know it's already a published thing, right? So this is just to keep in mind for the future. Keeping in mind a character's background, keeping in mind how characters might react to it. That's a normal, like this would be a normal character interaction, right? Like, oh yeah, the character A is going to invite character B in and they're going to talk. And that's normal. But you do have to, in the back of your mind, keep track of, wait, but does this make sense for character A? Would she be scared of stuff? Would she be hesitant at least? And having those little details, even her hesitating to let a man in, even if the scene happens the same way, but just adding the details, she hesitates, right? She flickers back and forth. She like double checks the sheriff badge to make sure it's real. Like little things, even if the scene then plays out the same way, but adding in those details of how they react to that scene is then what makes a character more real and makes it more believable. So yeah, just double check each individual line for if any of them sound a little funny. Right, it happens, especially like, I do know you're indie, right? Those, hold on, I had to cough from turning off the mic. Hello. Hopefully that turning off the mic thing worked and you didn't hear my death coughs. Yeah, with indie publishing especially, I know it's hard, right? The cost of not just editors but all the different editors is a lot. It's intimidating. Hello T, thank you for oh my goodness, for listening to me yap for 5 streams in a row. That's crazy. So that would be but sadly with that case, knowing that sometimes those editors, those beta readers, they're harder to come by, right? That you don't get the same level of edits. It does mean that it's a lot more manual work, right? To then go and check line by line. It is aiming for double digit. Oh my goodness. You guys spoil me, really. I'm so happy that you guys are all my first raccoons to join the Cryptid cult. I'm really lucky. That's it, AI writer, here I come. No, I know the book isn't as high quality as other. It's still really high quality, especially for an indie book. I'm not here to bash you on it, like, oh no, like look at all this terrible stuff. I'm still liking it, right? This is just stuff as I'm encouraging on your writing career and knowing how you're going about knowing that you're indie published. Because I could just say like, oh yeah, throw $1 bajillion at editors and then it'll all be perfect. That's not practical advice, right? I'm doing this because I think the talent is here, but that you do have the extra obstacles, right, of not as many editors and as traditionally published. And this feedback is to help you on that journey of, okay, now I know some more stuff to look for. That way, if this book was good, if the 10th mark is good, I want my next one, the Grimes novel, right, to be excellent. I want it to be amazing. And that's part of the craft of writing. It's every time you do something, you put your heart and soul into it, and you learn so much from it. And then you had to take everything you learned, and you then had to go back with a critical eye. Not a hateful eye. I never want you to hate your own writing, even if it is, right? Even if it is bad writing. Lord knows I've written bad stuff. That's part of the journey. Everyone has. But never with a hateful eye, but with a critical eye. Examine your writing. Examine what needs improvement. Examine what you could do better. Examine what separates your stuff from a different writer that you're trying to admire, that you want to learn the craft from. And look at it with a critical eye and realize that stuff. And then even though you worked so hard in it, now you had to do all that effort and more. You had to challenge yourself even better for the next piece. And that is truly the learning the craft of writing, not just writing. Anyone could write. I could write any blah, 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 blah. Words here. You guys see me keyboard smash, right? It's a useful tool sometimes. But learning the craft of writing, learning any craft, means that you take everything you've learned and now you gotta do it once more with feeling. Gotta do it better and better. Even the craft of sewing, of learning how to be a seamstress, right? I started, one of my first projects in college was corsetry, was learning corsets.
And you can still see compared to my later corsets, right? Even though that first one was amazing and I got an A on it and it was a great thing, are my later ones still so much better? Do they have more elaborate techniques? Do they have more skill? Do they have new things I've learned about why corsetry works and how to measure the body and how they interact with the body and how different fabrics can be used for this? Yes. Everything is a craft, and the more you do it, I never hated my past projects, but I can look back on it and realize, oh, that was still me without as much knowledge as I have now, without as much experience as I have now. Trial and error. Yep, same thing, yeah, but I think it's, as any craft, it's not even like necessarily an error. My first corsets weren't an error, and I don't think this book is an error, right? This is a huge accomplishment. I think this is really, really good. But so it doesn't have to be an error for you to look at it critically and learn even more from it to make the next thing even better. And I'm thinking like, oh wait, somewhere in the middle there, I did actually make really shitty corsets. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I learned, and then I went back to making good corsets. So sometimes it is truly trial and error. Sometimes there were errors in my sewing journey. From what the research you did, most indie first published books have errors, and most don't sell. Yep. Which is why you're taking your time to work on this other one. Yep, that is absolutely true. And hey, to be perfectly clear now, with the state of traditional publishing now, there's a lot of people talking about even traditionally published books. They're noticing more errors because the publishing houses are underpaying and overworking a smaller staff of editors, right? They're it's a lot of fast publishing right now, like fast fashion, it's fast publishing. And some even traditionally published authors are getting really upset because they went the traditional route to get access to the perks that traditional offers, which is that team of editors that work to make as near perfect product as they can with rounds and rounds and rounds of edits. And they're not getting it for a lot of places anymore. It's really hard. Stick with the classics. But yeah, double checking your lines. And that's just like the proofreading stage, right? That's like the final proofreading stage. Keeping in mind, you can still have the same events happen. Character B coming in and revealing details to character A before leaving, and character, you can still have the same events happening, but keeping in mind the details of how the characters react. Give one community sub. Oh my goodness, thank you. That's so nice. That's very kind. Thank you so much. Get you onto T. Oh, congrats, T. You got it. But yeah, the way characters. Thank you for entertaining me while I was doing homework. Oh, thank you for listening to me yap. I'm always so grateful that people actually like listening to me yap about this stuff. I love talking about writing and the craft of writing. And normally a lot of other side topics that chat gets me going on. But yeah, when I first started VTubing, I never expected anyone to watch me, but the advice I had was to learn. You should, even if it's to nobody, just start yapping for hours about something, about a topic that you could yap for hours about, right? And I was like, oh, okay, no one's gonna watch me, but I can yap about writing and the craft of writing and drafts and editors and publishing. I know a lot about that stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, no one's gonna watch me and I'm gonna learn and I'm just gonna yap about that for a while and it's fine. And little did I know, less than a month later, I'd be affiliate. That's so funny. It's crazy how stuff like that happens. Pep for the win, yeah. But what was I saying? So yeah, line by line, but that's the proofreading thing, right? That's the final, like, locking down. You might put the finished work down for a week or two. You shake it off, and then you go in with super critical eye, line by line, reading it out loud, and that might take you a few days, right? In case your voice can't do a whole entire novel read out loud in one sitting. But over there, you then read line by line everything out loud to really pick up is every single line as near as close to perfect as you are capable of. And I know even with editors, right, it's never going to be 100% perfect, but it gives it that best chance. That's what the proofreading stage is for. It's that final bit before you're like, okay, yep, now it's going to publishing. Let's put this in print. And then character motivations, the way characters do it compared to a way a different character might do it, even though it's the same actions, it's the same result. That characterization is really gonna make what's just names on a page stand out and feel like people, and make characters really relate to those, make people relate to those characters. Has there been any modern epics? Depends on what you define as epic. Are you talking about a... Hold on, I'm getting off topic. Wait, hold on. And then let's see, was there anything else I wanted as critique to help you in your writing journey? Oh yeah, and then as far as characterizations, wonder if you think chapter 3 will be the same. You know, we can find out. We can find out next one. Probably Doors of Stone, Patrick Rothfuss series. Once he comes out with the third book. Would be a modern epic, I think. But yeah, just before I forget, then we can talk about epics. I don't mind yapping about epics, but I want to make sure Author Relic here gets the tip too. The same way that Evelyn, I was like, oh, a little surprised that Evelyn, after this bad situation, is the first one to suggest letting this guy in to her and her kid while she's alone. The other part was, I was a little surprised Sheriff Pike notices the kid. And he seems really friendly, right? He's being nice to the kid. He's like, oh, like, evening, young man, all the different stuff. He's being polite. And then there's been some incidents over the past year, 9 of them to be exact. And he's talking about murder to this mom in front of her kid. When maybe if this is just a 6-year-old, right, the mom would be like, it might have been a little bit better for him to ask her to come outside and be like, hey, just a quick warning about the neighborhood, or be like a little more shush so that way the kid doesn't hear it. I was a little surprised. I'm like, oh, he is just he's saying this right in front of the kid, which if that is a characteristic of his, that he doesn't think of society stuff. Oh, you'll see why. Okay. Yeah, if that's a characteristic of his, then that's a good characterization to keep it consistent. He isn't aware of hiding things from kids. He isn't aware of those social cues. Then I'd be like, okay, that's great. But I think then it does have to be like intentional, which you're saying you'll see why. So I'm gonna assume that it's more intentional. But this was when I said earlier, like, oh, there's like 1 or 2 weird sentences. It was, one of them was here. It was, all of them died by murder. I was like, wait. I think this would have been better. All of them were murdered rather than all of them died by murder. What might have been a slightly better way to phrase that. He's a certain type of person. Okay. So yeah, if it's part of the characterization, then yeah, ignore that critique. That's fine. That's what I say. Sometimes as we're reading along, you'll make notes. And if this was like a professional editing job, they might make notes like that, and then they'll continue reading and they'll be like, oh, okay, I see what the author was trying to accomplish. And then before they send it to the author they're editing for it, they'll go back and they'll delete that little edit, right? That way it's more cohesive. Now they understand why the writer was doing that. You're hearing this off the cuff. I'm just doing my best though. But yeah, otherwise, I still really like it. And this isn't to bash the incredible work you've done on publishing your first novel. This is just, now that you've done something this great and amazing, now you'll see all these little details, and now your next book, the Grimes one, I hope now you make it even better, and you're more proud of all the new skills you've learned to make that the new best book you've made. That's all critique time is. But yeah, I still really like the characters. I still really like the setting. I still like the vibes. You nail the vibes really well. I do like the vibes, the atmosphere. You're very good at building the atmosphere, both in chapter 1 and chapter 2. I do like the atmosphere building. So yeah, I think that's my critique for that over. Let me go back to the top here. Sorry if scrolling is bothering any viewers. But what else were we talking? We were talking about epics. Okay, so let's first see before we do it. Let's look at technically what defines definition of literary epic. Because something can just be epic as in it's cool, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about a long narrative poem. Long narrative poem, it has to recount heroic deeds, some event, Odyssey. Okay, it doesn't have to be a poem. I was like, wait, does it have to be a poem? I don't remember the definition being a poem. But yeah, it can also just be a really lengthy prose. Similar themes and styles such as war and peace. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a poem. When I first read that, I'm like, man, maybe it's been a while. I don't remember it having to be a poem. So it's a long narrative poem or just prose. It's just something really, really long. And normally it's talking about a hero going on this epic journey. It's talking about the epic journey they go through. Let me see. From chapters 1 through chapter 10, the book happens throughout most of November, with chapter 10 being a break from the eerie slow burn for more of a happy break for the characters than the reader. Hello, Shadow! It's good to see you! More of a happy break for the characters than the reader. Oh, so I haven't gotten there yet. I don't think we have got there. You only have the first 5 here, which is good, right? Because I want people not to just get it for free here on the live stream. I want people to buy the book if they want to read it. But also keep in mind, something that's good for your characters isn't always good for the readers. Oh my god. Get out of here. Go back. And at the end of the day, the whole book is for the readers. Well, it's for you. It's for you as the author to write the story you want to write, and it's being sold to the readers. So something that's good for the characters might not necessarily be good for the story for the readers. Let's see, modern epics. Modern epics. Modern epics. Oh, that's true. I guess you could classify Lord of the Rings. Beowulf, I mean, yeah, it's probably like modern as in like same as Odyssey and the Iliad, but we're talking, I think when T was mentioning that, you're talking probably more modern, because T, I know you're younger. So more recent. But yeah, I guess Lord of the Rings would count. Beowulf, I did like reading a bit of Beowulf. But I think that's older than T is meaning. There seems to just be as little things here. Some of these I don't recognize. Like, I know the older stuff, the Iliad, Beowulf, Odyssey. Some people are mentioning newer works, which is what I think T is looking for, but I don't think they're super popular. So that's why I'm not recognizing the names. But it does look like there are a few. So yeah, T, looks like so. You won another playoff game. You're now in quarterfinals, expected to win the next game possibly. Trying to make it for state. And for the 5th time in about 50 years in your senior year. Shadow, that sounds so exciting. That sounds so exciting. I'm so happy for you guys. That's great. I'm so sorry if my great isn't as high pitched as it normally is. I'm still sick. My voice is still bad. But genuinely, I'm really, really excited for you. I'm sorry I can't be as loud and bouncy in my voice as I normally am, but that's fantastic. I'm so happy that you guys got that, especially since I know you had some health issues recently, so that's feels like a really big upturn after some scary health stuff, right? That feels good for you. I'm glad that that's happening. We're traveling home right now with bad signal. I'm tired of shit. Thank you for tuning in anyway, even if you can't hear me fully. That's so nice. That's so nice. All my raccoons work really hard to listen to me yap about nonsense. I feel really spoiled. But yeah, we're all... just in case you can't hear me, I'll type a message real quick. We're gonna type a message. Thank you, Shadow. Congrats. There we go. Just in case Shadow can't hear me there's also a message there. Just in case. And then I full screen this. Then I cannot even... There we go. Just in case I'm going in and out and Shadow can't hear me, then there's at least the message in chat too. What was that? Is there a beeping sound? That's weird. I don't know where it's from. Oh well. But so time right now it's currently 10 p.m. here. No, it's almost 11 for us. So stream lagging slowly right now, so I'm a little behind when you talk in chat. Oh, poor Shadow. Thank you for tuning in anyway, Shadow. We appreciate it. It's always good to see ya. But I think that's it for critique. That's it for story time. And yeah, that's one of the things too. I'm always upfront about what I know and what I don't know. I happen to not know too much examples for modern epics, but it does look like after a quick search that there are some. So if that's something you're interested in, then yeah, go ahead. But I'm always upfront with you guys about stuff that I don't know. I never want to come up with too much bullshit. Like nah, I try to keep it like honest around here. You know, as honest as me being a blue cryptid on your screen is. But yeah, what else is there? I was also thinking, you know what else I was thinking? Because we were talking about editors with this piece here, and how I know getting editors for indie publishing, for people who are indie publishing, is so expensive, because normally it's multiple rounds of edits with multiple different types of editors. It's getting the full work that traditional publishing normally offers. It's very not always financially feasible for people who are self-publishing. And I was watching, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about other editors and writers and stuff, and just the writing and editing community and book community on YouTube. And I was seeing someone, they're talking about being a freelance editor on Fiverr and how much they made the first month. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just have it in the background while working on stuff for the market tomorrow. And they got like 4 or 5 jobs the first month. And I'm like, that is a lot to handle. 4 or 5 separate jobs, not even with the same client, 4 or 5 separate clients. And I was like, oh, maybe it's like short scripts, and like a few of them were for plays. And I'm like, okay, that's why they were able to do developmental edits so fast. Because I'm like, 4 or 5 developmental edits of novels in 1 month, that's a really huge workload. Are you sure? Like, were you going crazy? What was happening? Okay, now some of them were plays, and that made sense. Some of them were just for the beginning of the novel, but 1 or 2 of them were like really big projects. It was the full novel of like over, I think they said over 100,000 words. And I'm like, oh, I'm amazed that even just a newbie freelancer got this many gigs in the first month on Fiverr, when it seems almost like oversaturated with a lot of stuff, right? I'm just moving my mouse around, I should stop. And then they showed their price sheet, and oh, my heart sank. I was so disappointed. Their price sheet for full developmental edits. Hello, and thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Cryptid cult. But their price sheet for a full developmental edit for a full novel, up to 100,000 words, full developmental edit, right, by this person who has experience, who is an editor, but is just like starting their career, so is needing that work client relationships built. $50 roonies, 50 USD, and I'm like, are you serious? to gain perspective, it is not unheard of for development edits. Like you're looking at 1,000 roughly. You're not talking about like, oh, under 100, maybe like a few hundred. For a full novel that side, you are looking at like 1,050 per novel, 50 per project, and per project was a novel of up to 100,000 words. To the respective, a rough draft like NaNoWriMo is like 50,000 words, and a lot of novels rest comfortably around 50,000 words. But yeah, some of them are really chunky novels. They can go up to like 100,000 words, right? That's not unusual. But that is a chunky book. That is a chunky novel. And to offer a developmental edit of the full 100,000 words for $50. And she was justifying, like, oh, why are the prices so low? Oh, it's my first month on Fiverr, and I wanted to get some sales and to get the 5-star reviews. And I know that's a tactic, I know, but I was almost crying on the inside. I'm like, that is so low. That is just race to the bottom low. You're right, Maine. It's sheesh. I'm like, it hurt my heart a little bit. And they were offering like the other ones, which is like a, 50K developmental edit, so 50,000 words developmental edit, and it was only like $40 or something like that, and then like a short script or something, or like your intro, like 20,000 words was something else. Like it was cheap. It was dirt cheap prices. If I ever saw that, I would have skipped over her because I assumed it would have been a bot or something. I would assume it would have been a fake listing, like a bad listing. It's so cheap, I would assume it would be bad. So if you pass out while watching stream, no, it's all good, Shadow. Just take care of you. And hey, if you could sleep while listening to me yap, good for you. Oh my goodness. But I was so heartbroken. What's the usual price range for services like that for a person who is truly fully an actual editor? Someone who is an editor, not somebody who's like, oh, I read a lot of books, I could do it, I'm just gonna, with no training and no coursework and no degree, like nothing like that, like absolutely just, you had a thought on Tuesday and you already made a Fiverr account. Not that. For someone who is truly an editor, who is trained, they've looked at the Chicago Manual Style, they took courses, maybe they have a degree, you are looking at a developmental editor. For a freelance editor, you are looking at upper hundreds to 1,000, right? You're looking at the thousands range. You can go a little more, you can go a little less. I wouldn't go, I would step back from anything that went to like near 2,000. 2,000 is crazy to me. That would be much. But I wouldn't be shocked at somewhere just below or just above the 1,000 price range for each edit, for developmental, and then you do your line edits, and then you do copy edits. And that's why traditional publishing, people, even if they don't care about being fancy enough to be traditionally published, they'll still go the traditional published route, because a publishing house covers all that, right? They cover however many edits you need. Because they have those people in-house, or they work with freelancers. A lot of editors that publishing houses use, they're actually still freelancers. They're just freelancers who work with the publishing house on a freelance rate. There's a beta reader on Fiverr doing 60,000 words for $20 in 1 month delivery, plus a reader report. Yep, that's what I said. A beta reader, right? Is not formally trained. That's just somebody who's gonna beta read it. Who's just gonna look it over, give you what they thought, give you what you know, and hopefully they are still enthusiastic about books and the written word and the crafted writing, that they're gonna give you a lot of good feedback. But I'm saying on a technical level, right? Beta reading isn't really anything, right? As far as logistically what they are on contract supposed to give you. Developmental edits, line edits, copy edits, proofreading, those are all very particular job roles. In traditional publishing, beta readers and ARC readers are different. Those, even between each other, those are different. Beta readers, I think I mentioned on a previous stream, they are for marketing purposes. So they will give stuff to beta readers to test the market. Like if they want to advertise this book as instead of young adult fantasy, there's technically a subplot of romance a little bit. They're like, what if we try marketing it as romantasy? So they'll have beta readers who say on their sheets they like romantasy. They'll give your book to these romantasy beta readers, and they'll hear back from them. And people be like, oh, it's like technically well written, but I want to never read this or recommend it because it doesn't have a lot of the romance in it. And it might mark really poorly with the romantasy beta readers. But if they just gave it to YA fantasy beta readers, then they all love the book. And they're like, oh, okay, we were going to market this as romantasy, but we didn't get good feedback from that. We'll just market it as fantasy.
You've seen some people offer beta reading on Reddit, which I can only imagine is... It depends. And truly and fully, for fanfic writers will love their beta readers, right? But they also specify in fan fiction world, it's normally very, very different, right? Because we don't have professional editors in fan fiction. So you have beta readers who are offering different things. Some fan fiction writers only want emotional support cheerleaders. They don't want any edits. They don't want any suggestions. They just need that cheerleader to be like, go, this was so good. I'm so excited to read the next chapter. I liked this part. Go, go, go. Others will do things like, hey, yeah, I'm not formally trained, but if I notice inconsistencies, I'll give you those developmental edits. I'll give you suggestions. I'll point out a plot hole. Others are like, oh yeah, I'm pretty good at grammar, and they'll just do those copy edits. They'll point out for free, because they're just a beta reader for this fanfic author. They like, I'll point out any spelling errors I know. I'll do that copy edit for you, right? So in fan fiction, beta readers mean a lot of different things, and normally a fanfic writer and a beta reader will talk about that and specify what the fanfic author is looking for and if the beta reader can do that. But in traditional publishing, it does have a different meaning, and it is specifically for marketing purposes, to test the market. And they might even say stuff like, hey, yeah, this book is romantasy, and we did give it to the romantasy beta readers, but they didn't like it as much. They said, oh yeah, it was okay, it wasn't great, it was just okay. We were going to give this book a marketing budget of, I don't know, $50,000, right? We were going to give it $50,000 worth of marketing for this romantasy book. But since the romantasy beta reader said it was just okay, we might only spend the marketing budget down to $10,000, right? Because the people who like romantasy were just okay with this book. It will be a waste of marketing to give a higher marketing budget. But then this other book, Book B over here, was like the bee's knees to them. They thought it was like 10 times better. It had fairies in it. And they were like, oh, okay, so that was just going to get a $15,000 marketing budget. We'll up that one to the $50,000 marketing budget for this fairy romantasy book, because the romantasy readers like it. So beta readers are normally used for marketing, budgets, how well it's received, if they could put it in a different genre, if they could put it in a different niche, if the cover art works. That's what beta readers in traditional publishing are used for. And then you get ARC readers, who are just for the early advanced reader copy. They read it, they will then write a review on it before the book is released. That way, when it's released and people are looking at it, if it has no reviews, you don't buy it, right? Because you don't know if it's good or not. But the ARC's readers will have left reviews to let them know what they think. And they'll be like, oh, this new book just came out. People are saying it's like this in this book, or that they really like this character, or that the plot twist with the serial killer is really, really good. And they'll get those early reviews from the ARC readers. And they'll be like, oh, okay, now that there's reviews, I'll buy the book. And they'll get the book. So they each serve a different purpose in traditional publishing. So it goes write, beta read, developmental edits, line edits, then copy edits. It goes, okay, on a really technical level, it goes plot outline if you can. If you are a plotter, I know some people are pantsers, but if you are a plotter, it goes plot. It goes really, really, really shitty rough draft, or if you're a pantser, really, really shitty fly by the pants of your seat rough draft. It then goes a self edit. It then goes put it down. It then goes to another self edit. Does your shit make sense? Are there any plot holes you made? Did you start writing about a coming of age story and then you ended with a, I don't know, murder hobo adventure story, and it had nothing to do with the found family trope you had at the beginning? Does your shit make sense? You'll do as many self-edits as you can. And sometimes you have to be really critical, like, yeah, does this actually make sense? Do I make shit, or do I need to rework shit? Did I give my main character 20 best friends and I only gave lines to 2 of them? So you'll do as much self-editing as you can. Then, what a beta read. I think that would then be a good place for a beta read for indie publishing, yeah. Beta read to get an idea, because it's cheaper. It gives you some good initial feedback if it's a good beta reader. Once you find a good beta reader, keep them. If you find a good one, keep them, because sometimes you'll go through a lot of crazy ones. Hello, what? It's good to see you.
Then yes, developmental edits, and in traditional publishing, it is not unheard of that you stay in developmental edit hell for a while. Sometimes because what a developmental edit does, it looks at the whole story. They'll point out, hey, this character arc is lagging. Hey, the story sags in the middle here. Hey, chapter 2 is actually the start of your book. Get rid of the prologue and get rid of chapter 1. The beginning of your book should be chapter 2. Hey, get rid of these characters. They look at a wide scope of everything. And after that, they'll give you those feedback and critiques and sometimes they'll even give you ideas on how to fix it. Sometimes they don't, just depends. And you'll fix it, but sometimes doing that, right? They say, hey, the prologue and chapter 1 are boring and unnecessary. The story actually starts in chapter 2. Well, you might have had some like 1 or 2 needed plot details. Like, again, it was boring, but like details that were important in chapter 1. So when you got rid of it, now there's a plot hole, right? Now you're missing those details. So now you had to go in and you had to work in those details somewhere else. You might fix your main character has 20 best friends. They only need 2. You might get rid of, friends 1 through 18, and they only have like friends 19 and 20 now, but crap, you made friend 7 be the one who drives them to the hospital. Best friends 19 and 20 don't know how to drive. So that's a plot hole, right? Because you said it, like, in this chapter, these friends don't know how to drive. In the later chapter, you made friend 19 be the one to drive them to the hospital. So it's like, wait, there's new plot errors that happen doing your initial fixes. So then, if you were traditionally publishing, again, the publishing house covers these editing costs, right? They cover it. You don't pay for these edits. You would then go through another developmental edit to make sure you didn't make new plot holes by fixing your old ones. And some authors do hate that. It's not unusual to go through like multiple rounds, like 3, 4, 5. You enter developmental edit hell if you get like 7 or up. Authors do not like it. You go through all of that. Again, you don't pay for it, right? Indie, you do. Traditional, you don't. The publishing house covers it. And now, okay, your plot and your characters are structurally sound. Then you go to line edits. And normally, I would say you don't normally do too many line edits, because the book, the plot, the characters are all done after developmental edit hell, after that gauntlet. So now they're just going line by line, and they are making sure every sentence is as good as it can be. And that some authors worry that they're like, oh, they're going to change my voice as an author. They will never change your voice as an author. They are just making it as strong, as clear to hear your voice. They see all the good points of your voice and your tone and the way you're telling your story. And they're like, okay, I get that. I get the vibe. Here's how we get that sentence to the next level, right? Like, they would notice stuff like, what did I say? All of them died by murder. That would be a line edit. They'd be like, oh, this character, this really cool detective, you might want to say instead, they were all murdered, right? They would fix things like that. So it's normally not a line edit hell. It's normally just developmental edit hell. Line edits. And then copy edits, yep. There are more niche editors depending on the work you're working at, right? There's sometimes sometimes when you're writing about a different culture or about a sensitive topic, there's a sensitivity editor. There's different stuff like that. And then you're right, and then copy edits. And then after a copy edit is then proofreading. And then it would be, in traditional publishing, then it would be the beta readers for marketing purposes, and then the ARC readers to get those advanced reviews in time for when you release the book. I think the reason you wouldn't send your book to a traditional book publication like Ever is because you lose your rights. You lose the right to change the price. I'd rather have the copyright to all your characters, stories, etc., and make 30 to 70% depending on ebook or paperback versus 2% contract. Well, again, you also initially get the upfront cost. Right? They give you a chunk up front, and then if you've recouped that chunk up front from book sales, right? If it was a good enough book that they recoup that initial chunk of money they sent you, then you earn the percentage on the sales. You don't initially earn percentage on sales because they gave you an upfront chunk of money. After you've earned back the chunk of money, which most books do not, just to be fully upfront, most books do not. Only like the sensationalized big like bestseller stuff that fly off the shelves will ever earn back their initial upfront chunk of money the publishing house sent them. And then they earn a percent per book. And again, your agent, normally with traditional publishing, you don't approach the publishing house straight up. You normally have an agent. And the agent would negotiate a contract for you that you would be happy with, and that would be not against your favor. Like they would argue in your favor, and they'd argue for the rights that you want, that are important to you. Hello, Ink and Play. It's good to see you. You're trying to get recruited into the U.S. Marines. Oh, wow, Shadow. And my friend who's getting me in is paying me $2,000 roonies for helping him. I went to school with the dude last year before he graduated. Shadow Alpha, that sounds like the friend really helped you out. I'm really glad you have a support network like that. That's really awesome. I'm really excited for you. Did I miss anyone's early comment? Shadow offered 10k points for hydration is a lot. Okay, Shadow. It's because they were trying to drown me. I put it at like 500 points, and then they spammed it. They spammed it like 12 or 15 times. They all conspired against me. They were trying to, and they spammed it like a minute. So like a minute, they did it like 12 or 15 times, and I was taking big sippies. And I almost like died. And they kept threatening that no matter what price I raised it to, then I raised it up to like 1,000. And they still spammed it. And so then I'm like, okay, I physically am like gonna feel uncomfortable if I keep like drinking this much water at one point. Like again, it was like back to back to back. They were spamming it. So I'm like, okay, just to make everyone behave, I'm raising the price. If everyone goes back to behaving, I will lower the price. You'll probably never go traditional publishing way. I'm happy with self-publishing. Yeah, and also again, this is the state of it for a few years. My information could be outdated, but normally once you are indie published, it becomes 10 times to 1,000 times much harder to be traditionally published. Maybe do 2K? I'll think about it. Yeah, next stream, since all the raccoons have behaved again, I'll lower it down for next stream. Or put a rule limit on what you do. Oh, I can put a rule limit? See, I'm still a baby streamer. I didn't know I could put a rule on it. Have you had anything published? No, I did initially start my college degree, and I was going to go for creative writing, and I was going to pursue being an author, and my idea was like, until I made money from being a writer, I would teach English. And then I had a lot of anxiety and depression in college, and I switched my major to costuming, and that's when I ended up getting my degree in it. And that's why I'm now a professional embroidery and seamstress, a professional embroidery artist and seamstress. And me and Roots have our business where we sell patches as Cryptid Roots. That's the Etsy shop. We sell stuff. But for many years, right, I was studying to be in it. And then even when I was in college, I had a lot of contacts because I was seriously pursuing this. I had friends who worked in publishing houses. They were even offering like, oh yeah, when you finish your degree, they were actually going to be my in to get my first internships and my first jobs at some of the local publishing houses. And I would go there and I'd hang out with them. And I got the scoop. I got the knowledge. I was subscribed to magazines for authors and oh wait, I closed the wrong thing. Hold on. Wait a second. No. Oh well, it's just a black screen. It's just black screen. Here, I'll be the center. Now I'm here. Now I'm in charge. So I was subscribed for years, since like middle school or high school. Mom and Papa Cryptid Investor, they actually got me subscriptions to magazines about the publishing industry, about the writing industry, about different stuff. And I like would read those issues, and I still have them in a drawer in my room. All the stuff. I had books on writing. That was some of the Christmas presents for years I got. They would get me books about the art and craft of writing and the craft of publishing, and different editors and stuff. I was reading interviews. I was fully immersed. I was gonna do it. And then like mentally, I I actually almost quit college. I remember calling and just crying on the phone to Mama Cryptid because I wanted to stop because I couldn't do it. I was working 2 to 3 jobs and I was doing college. And I was in a bad relationship that I was living with them. And it was a really, really hard time, and something had to give. And I remember calling Mama Cryptid and just begging, like, I just need a semester off. I need a year off. I need something off. I can't do it all. And Mama Cryptid, what? Yeah, and part of me still kind of regrets that I didn't take that break because I was burnt out, and I've never stopped being burnt out since. But you know, I still did it. I've probably lost a lot of hair and a lot of years off my lifespan. I was so depressed, actually, I didn't even go to my college graduation ceremony. I did graduate. I didn't go to the ceremony because I know if I went there, I would cry and it would not be happy tears. I hated it so much at the end. But it was really, really hard. Yeah, I actually hated the experience so much, and I was so stressed with life that I didn't go to my own graduation ceremony. It was really, really hard. And a lot of people were wondering why, and I'm like, it's not worth it. And then I was still in the bad relationship, and he didn't give an F about celebrating stuff that I had done. He didn't care that I finished college. So it just would have been a bad time. It wouldn't have been fun. Hey, Ink can play European GTuber now? That's exciting. That's so cool. I think you know. Oh yeah, did you mention it in the Discord? Yeah, that's exciting. It's so exciting. I'm so happy that I did have the courage to start doing this and do this crazy writing challenge and reading challenge on stream and get to know all you guys. I'm so happy I started. So I'm really encouraging. If anyone's thinking about it, I do think it's a really fun thing to do, to start streaming. I really like it. Sorry to hear that. Hey, it's just part of the journey. Shit happens, and then you either get through it or you don't, and hopefully there's then better shit afterwards. And you know, hey, it ended up on the journey, right? I ended up pivoting to costuming, and now we have an embroidery business where I do patches professionally with my sibling Roots. And our work's been on the Grammy red carpet twice, which little teenage cryptid or young baby cryptid in college, right? Baby college student cryptid would never have imagined doing stuff for people who were going on the Grammy red carpet, that they were going to wear my work and like tag me on Instagram, right? That's crazy. We've done stuff for Legoland for their parades. We've done patches for their parades that opened up in California. You're head to sleep? See ya. It was so good having you here. Have a good night. So stuff ended up working the way it had to, and I've had a lot of cool opportunities from that, and I've learned a lot, and I don't put up with as much shit as I used to. Cryptid is famous, confirmed? Yeah, all cryptids are famous. Even if you don't know about them, they're still famous. That's so cool. Yeah, I feel really honored that I got to do that. Our work's been in several small boutiques all over the US. I've done like interviews. I've been in interviews. There's stuff like published online, and one of the people who attended the Grammy red carpet event, she had our sewing work. I did sewing for her. She actually mentioned, and she got interviewed about the experience of going to the Grammy red carpet, and she actually mentioned us, and she even mentioned my mom, because Mama Cryptid had been there and had been helping and entertaining her while I was like pinning and altering things last minute, like hours before their flight, pinning and fixing things for her costume before she left. And while I was doing that, Mama Cryptid was like talking and chatting with her and being like the emotional support, right? Keeping her entertained and happy, and I was fixing everything. like last minute pins and needles, hand sewing things together, right? She was chatting with them, and Mama Cryptid had helped with some of the sewing too, and so she actually gave credit to me and Mama Cryptid by name. It was amazing. I was so like honored that she actually remembered Mama Cryptid's name, and she gave her credit in that interview, and I was like, oh, it was really, really cool. And I looked at Mama Cryptid afterwards. I'm like, Mama Cryptid, like you're mentioned in the interview. She said she by name. Like, you can say you're a seamstress that's been mentioned in this interview. To all, there were mean people that Mama Cryptid knew, and I was really unhappy with them talking shit about Mama Cryptid. So I'm like, you can tell all those mean people that you're a famous seamstress now, and you're mentioned in this review, in this interview by a celebrity. Oh my goodness. So I was like, yeah, you go tell. You go tell all those bullies. I said a lot worse words. Like, you go tell those bullies. You're like half cryptic because I walk around dead silent. I'm known as the ghost shadow as you walk dead silent rather tall for my yeah. See? And now you're one of my raccoons, so you're gonna be like a super, super tall raccoon who goes around like a silent ghost. You'll be a little raccoon cryptid. Aren't you excited? That's great. You want to do game design, but there's nothing close to you, and you don't want to move cross country just yet. Have you done any game designing yet? Like, are you going to? Because game design, it's one of those things where you can do a professional degree in it, or you can. There's a lot of resources for it now to be self-taught, and if you like actually commit and you can learn, you can teach yourself with the resources available online. And both options for that particular career path are viable. It just depends on what you would learn better under. I know personally, like, I'm really bad at being self-taught. I do learn better with an actual class, and I'm better at in-person classes than online classes. And it's just something to know about yourself. So I'm not sure at what stage you're at. Like, have you designed anything? Have you pursued the knowledge to do that? Or you might even be a younger viewer, right? And you're still like in like high school, and you're just like, oh yeah, I would like to do that one day. That seems cool. I'm not sure what level you're at, but once you have the knowledge, there is a lot of remote jobs, a lot of designing, a lot of artwork, a lot of things that can be done on the computer. A lot of places now after 2020, they don't want to pay the office spaces anymore to have people in-house. They'd rather you just virtually sign in anywhere, so you might not have to cross the country yet, unless it's for education, unless it's like a college you want to attend. You should look at cheap courses and certifications. They're usually really comprehensive depending on what you want to do. Yeah, just verify, because sometimes there'll be a lot of courses, and then you'll pay for them, and you'll be like, oh wait, this was a shit course. So just like look up reviews. Like, even with we were talking about editing earlier. There's a lot of like courses, right? There's a lot of fun courses you could do to be an editor. Some of them are when you look them up and you look at what's included in it, or what they say, some of them are better than others, right? There was one, I was so disappointed. It's one by a college, I forget it now, but I was looking up all the different editing certificates, because you guys seem to really like me doing like a little 1 or 2 critiques. And I mentioned I'm better at developmental and line edits than I am at copy edits, right? Copy editors scare me. But I was wondering, I'm like, oh, I wonder if I should pursue getting an actual certificate. That way when people get my feedback, it then maybe sounds more legit, because I would have the certificate to back it up. And I was thinking of that in order to give you guys here on stream like better critiques, because you guys are spending the time listening to me, so I want to give you the best value for my for my free critiques. I want to give you guys the best critiques I can. So I was looking at the courses and stuff, like pursuing that, and I was so shocked. There were a lot of them that seemed really good, but one that came recommended was by this one particular college that offered the course. Bear, why are you over here? What's up? Is your mama out? Okay. Bye, Bear. But one of them was from a college, so it wasn't even like from the organization or the union or anything. Like, it was from a college offering this coursework. And this college, I don't remember what college it was, in their descriptions, if you then look at the course description, specifically mentioned that it would teach you like all these different things about the styles of editing, that everything else all the others do, but that they would also teach you how to incorporate AI assisted tools to generate feedback and work with your clientele and give them critiques with AI generated assist tools. And I'm like, no. Horrible band. I was so upset because I'm like, any editor who now does that, even if the author made sure never to put their work into an AI machine, they didn't want it to be filtered through the AI. Now, if you suddenly learn that your editor did it, you hired this editor, and your editor fed all your work to the AI algorithm. Oh my god, I would be devastated as a writer who trusted an editor, and it turned out the editor did that. I was really surprised that there was a college course advertising the use of general AI tools and knowledge for editing purposes. I was really surprised. So yeah, just also like look up when you are looking at courses. Verify each one. I've been self-taught. My school just got a game design program last year. That's exciting. It would have pushed me back another year if I would have switched. Okay, yeah. But so you didn't go because it came last year. Yeah, I totally get you. But yeah, so then I would say self-taught, and again, there is a lot of good resources online now for stuff like that. I think you can pursue it, and you're at a stage where you haven't been hired by a big corporation yet that has like a huge office, right? I think you don't need to quite worry about moving cross country yet. I think building the portfolio, I think getting remote jobs, 1 or 2, to build that base, getting that clientele feedback, that would be what I would focus on for me personally before I ever considered like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna cross country move close to a studio or to a city that has a lot of game developing studios and hope maybe one day I'm picked up by them. I wouldn't I wouldn't do anything crazy like that. Like even here, right, it's technically like California, New York are the biggest for if you want costuming jobs in movies and theaters, and I was considering that for mean rates. But Florida is still like semi-decent. Florida still has a lot normally for like theme parks. The costuming here in Florida is mostly based for Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, seasonal attractions that open up. We have a costuming for that. For movies, it's more going to be New York and California. But I was considering I'm like, oh, should I wish we were closer to some of the big places that would hire embroidery artists and stuff for film, because that's one of my next goals, right? We've been on the Grammy Red Carpet twice with our work. We've worked with Legoland. We've had big contracts. We have sold to stores and boutiques. We've worked with custom orders. That the next goal, like on a bucket list, would be like, I want our work in a movie. I want to be an embroidery artist for a movie, and there's just as a bucket list item, not because we need to. I just think that would be cool. It'd be cool to see Cryptid Roots in the ending roll credits. But I would never move there. I would try to seek opportunities from where I'm at. And as we continue to grow and evolve over the years, then we'll have more opportunities. I'm not like chasing that opportunity right this second. So I never really recommend moving for the chance at work before you have a work job lined up. That's why I would question editors if I heard, yeah. Definitely with AI, with a lot of different stuff and a lot of people acting like they're editors with no formal training. Because a lot of freelance editors are formally trained and they do have good feedback, and a lot of freelance editors still work with traditionally published houses. Again, a lot of traditionally published houses are still using freelance editors. They have like 1 to 3 staff on hand, and then they use the rest as freelancers that they outsource to. So freelance editors are still wonderful and amazing and valuable, but there does have to be the vetting process to make sure if you're sending this person money, that they are the right person to do it. Udemy courses, I'm hoping I'm reading. Sorry, I'm not having my glasses for the eye tracking, so I don't have my glasses on. Unity certification courses, even Unreal has some courses, all cheaper than traditional school. Yep, but it requires you to be responsible for yourself. I prefer getting taught, to be honest. Yeah, same with me. I had to realize that about myself. I'm much better in a classroom setting. I'm actually really bad with online classes. I don't like it. I mentally don't connect with online classes. I much better absorb information if I hold myself accountable and I make the effort to go to a physical class. And I learn better with that. Atlanta is sort of the same. There's a lot of tech jobs. Yeah, there's different areas have different specialties. Again, there's certain places you go to for costuming. There's certain places you go to for tech jobs. There's certain places you go to for more international stock market jobs. There's more places for building, for lumber, for mining communities. You know, different areas have specialties in what work is kind of available. You really don't want to work tomorrow. You're gonna be in so much pain. You're still recovering from your medical incident. Oh, I'm so sorry, Shadow. I don't know if you could even ask one of your coworkers handle some of like the heavier lifting stuff, and just for a day or two you just kind of handle some of the lighter stuff while you're on shift. Like if you could trade tasks like that. When I was a manager, I did have to do that, right? When I was a supervisor at different retail stores, I did, like, when some of my coworkers and stuff had medical stuff going on, but they couldn't financially afford to call the day off, so they still showed up. So it wouldn't do me any good to tell them, like, oh yeah, just go home, right? That wasn't my call. They needed it. Oh, thank you for the follow, and welcome to the Cryptid cult. But yeah, it wasn't my call to make that they should go home and not get paid for those hours, right? They needed it. But I did make things like, okay, you can't lift anything, you can't move a lot, but you're gonna sit here by the register and just check people's items and scan them and bag them and go, and I'll run around the store and I'll do the tidying up and the restocking and fetching things for clients and customers, right? That's fine. Or sometimes somebody was sick and I'm like, okay, you're gonna stay in the back half of the store near the bathrooms. If you need to run to the bathroom to be sick, you are right there. I will handle register in the front of the store, right? You're just gonna hang out in the back and you take care of whatever you need to do. If I turn around and you're not there, it's fine. I already know you're sick. You don't have to let me know. But that's going to be your zone because I know you're sick. You need to be near the employee restrooms, right? And sometimes when you have coworkers like that or bosses like that, they'll accommodate you for the day or a few days. Oof, Godspeed, brother. Oh, you're trying to learn UE5 solo is a pain. Oof, Godspeed, brother. Whole game studios don't have that down yet. But hey, so me knowing nothing. Full disclosure, me knowing nothing about what UE5 is. That does mean, even if you're not perfect at it, right? Even if you just have a passing knowledge, you have experience trying and messing around with whatever UE5 is. That then for applications, for trying to get jobs, now makes you more desirable if that is a hard thing that entire studios have trouble with. Hearing that you have passing knowledge with it, you can fumble around with it a bit, you can get some results with it. Nothing perfect, but you're decent, is really, really desirable. Like, again, even that kind of stuff with sewing, to give you perspective, it's normally working with custom fitting, especially with plus-sized people. If you can do plus-sized woman fitting, if you can do specialty things like corsetry or tailoring, or if you worked in bridal. My background, my starting sewing job was in high-end luxury bridal accessories, right? When that's normally a specialty that people who work in the industry and sewing for years never get to. And I started with that. I started on hard mode. My first job was hard mode, the most extreme version of hard mode. It was crazy. And now if we didn't have our own company, Cryptid Roots, that we worked for, but if I was going for costuming and sewing jobs, that instantly, having that experience would make me more desirable compared to anybody else who applied for it. Just because I do have that background, I do have that knowledge in certain very specialty level items. I do have specialty in corsetry. I do have specialty in patterning for my plus-sized butt, right? For my big titty girlfriend assets, right? To make things fit me. And also the years I was head seamstress by the end of a luxury bridal lingerie and accessory studio that was worldwide. It was luxury. It was high end. Those bridal veils, some of them were thousands of dollars just for the veil. It was a luxury. It was a very, very niche, very beautiful studio to work with. I'm so happy I got to work there. But just having that background makes you more desirable to be hired to work with those studios. You can call in 2 hours before work. If I can't go in, my doctor put me on a light duty and gave me a doctor note to excuse me for more rest and lift light. That's good. That's good, Shadow. I'm glad you kind of got it. Wait, that Cryptid? What? The Power Des had one guy who knew UE5 and had to teach everyone else. And remember, whatever job you have, if you're teaching other people how to do your job, 1, that means they could technically replace you. 2, that means you should be higher paid for it. You should be paid more than whoever you are teaching, because you now have that skill set. Because you, once you're done teaching, could be more easily replaced. That means that to compensate for it, you should have been paid higher for teaching people. And you should have that on your resume whenever you go and get another job in the future, that you taught it, that you were an instructor of it. You weren't just a normal employee, you were an instructor, you were a supervisor teaching stuff. That's just whatever in job industry you work in. That's just 101, right? Like if I was the only person in a shop who knew how to work with, I don't know, something to do with like stretch fabrics. I was the only person who knew corsetry, and there was like some production and they needed like 1 bajillion corsets and I couldn't do it, so they had me teach other people what they needed to know. I'd be like, okay, but you're gonna pay me. I just was hired to sew. If you want to hire me to teach, then that's a different job, and we're gonna have a negotiation talk right now before my shift starts. Because now that's a skill set that now these people have owed me. I would have taught them what I knew. Programmers especially, programs are famous for like, they'll know the particular way they did that program to make something run, to make something work. And then they want to sometimes fire that programmer or somebody who built a website or something, right? And they're like, okay, good luck. And then they go, and then everything breaks. And then nobody else, none of the other programmers or any of the backend developers know how to fix it, because they're like, I have no idea what that dude did. So then they had to go back out and like reach out to that dude and be like, hey, can you fix it? Or can you teach some of the other employees here how to fix what you did? Because like it's broken now. And they're like, well, that's a contractor fee, and my base minimum for an hour is $2,000. Some crazy shit like that. Programmers are, and backend developers of websites are known for that kind of shit. That's kind of how you had to do it. Unreal literally, oh, it's Unreal. UE's Unreal. Okay. Literally has a team of experts that you can hire to help your team do stuff. So that's what usually happens in AAA games. So yeah, if this is a really, really hard thing, well, 1, don't push yourself. If this isn't the thing you want to learn and you want to do something else instead, you can do that, and that's fine. But if this is a really, really hard thing to learn and you can get mediocre at it, you don't have to be an expert at it. If you're mediocre at it, that puts you financially very desirable to companies, right? Because they'd rather hire you to do the mediocre stuff than pay super, super, super top dollar to get these experts in to do the little shit that they don't want. Oh no. You just want an excuse to use the ban emote. The cowboy coders are the worst. Like that my peers could tell my code because it was bad, it didn't work. Oh my god. You have crushed Pop-Tarts you have for food. Yeah. See, you are a raccoon. I knew it. That's the raccoon way. But, oh, hold on, I'm stretching. The model's gonna freak out because I'm like moving around all weird. Okay. Big stretch. But thank you guys so much. I enjoyed having story time. I enjoyed reading chapter 2 from Author Relic. I hope that my chit chat Maybe produce something useful out of all the words I said that they could use in the future. Crush Pop-Tarts are 1.5 months old. Oh my goodness, you are a fully fledged raccoon, full-fledged trash panda raccoon right there. Your code be so unorganized. Oh no, is my chat of writers secretly also a chat of coders, developers? Enjoy your night, Cryptid. Good luck tomorrow. Show us photos of your setup. I will. I'm really excited about it. Again, you guys can follow along in the Discord. I might post a photo or two of our setup and our merch there. You can also just join there just to chat or to submit your own writing for story times and critique in the future. But otherwise, if you guys follow us on any other social media, I've been really bad about social media lately because we've been streaming so much. I haven't had the time to make social media posts on like TikTok and Instagram. But I'm gearing up to start working on those more this week and going into the next month, getting those active again. So yeah, if you follow us on the other social medias besides Discord, then you might see some more videos and footage of our setup in Goblin Market. I love Goblin Market so much. It's an amazing experience. If any of my raccoons here are in the Central Florida area, or you come to Central Florida sometime in the future during a time when Goblin Market happens to be happening, it happens every month. It's a great market to visit. It's fun. It has so many cool things. It's an entire market where you could walk away with a bunch of stuff and not have spent any money, because it does encourage bartering and trading and doing quests and running errands in order to get other stuff. It's so fun. It's really, really great. You're hungry. It's not your fault you found old food. Oh my goodness. Don't worry, it's only an issue when you S something up later and can't find the F. Oh no. Yeah, so glad. So glad I'm a physical crafter. I like physically making stuff, whether it be embroidery or sewing or apparel or pictures, or I like physically making stuff rather than this crazy scary digital coder nonsense. It sounds so intimidating. You tried to make a Discord bot and it had 276 errors to fix. Oh no. See, I could never. But thank you guys so much. I wonder, the only person I'd really raid right now is Scarecrow, but I saw them in my chat earlier, so I don't know if he's still up. Let me go ahead and see. Raid channel. Sidion's playing Warhammer. So that's not writing. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that. Cinna Monroe is doing writing and reading still. We've been to both their stuff before. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong screen now. Wait, go back. Go back. I can't see my chat. What was I saying though? But yeah, we don't have to raid tonight. I think sometimes I've accidentally dropped you guys off in a raid where I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have raided this random person. That wasn't the best experience. Drop my little raccoons off. It's like showing up instead of like dropping you guys off to like a daycare I vetted. It's like pulling up to a random house and just dropping off all my raccoons there and being like, good luck at daycare. And it's just like a random house. Some of the raids I've enjoyed, some of them I have not enjoyed for where I leave you guys off, and I'm like, oh no, I made a mistake. I dropped you guys off at the wrong house. Oh, the kittens are loose. Hi, babies. But yeah, thank you guys so much for following along. I hope to see you guys next time. It's the Frozen Scarecrow, you are here! You just saw me. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Frozen Scarecrow's still up. I would have raided you. I'll leave my raccoons with you. It's something crazy, like over 50% of all my viewers also watch you, Frozen Scarecrow. I'm like, yeah. Sounds about right. I got a lot of good chatters who are also good chatters over with Frozen Scarecrow. I'm very lucky. I don't know if you're up for streaming at all, Frozen Scarecrow. If you are, I'll leave them with you. But if you're gonna head to bed too, then I might just end the stream. Uncle Scarecrow, now the raccoon Scarecrow uncle. Oh my goodness. He's a frozen raccoon. Give it time, many more will discover your great streams. That's very sweet of you, Frozen Scarecrow. Oh my goodness. I already feel like honestly a little bit overwhelmed. We're growing at a rate I did not expect. But yeah, you're not streaming tonight? Okay. Let's go, John Scarecrow. Oh my god. If he was on right now, I would. So next time, I think I had to start streaming earlier. That way I can finish up the streams earlier. Because we normally yap and chat for a couple hours. So I think I want to start earlier. After November, when we start streaming in December. I'll start early, that way we can finish earlier. And then hopefully we'll still be able to catch and raid the end of Frozen Scarecrow streams. That's... This is an honest conversation I've had with Reese. I'm like, I need to stream earlier so that way I can raid the people I want to raid. You have no power here, Ink. It's so bright and noisy now. Shadow, are you okay? Are you okay after your stale Pop-Tart? Was there anything? Was there anything in the Pop-Tarts? Was there any mold there? Are you having a reaction to anything in your old Pop-Tarts? Oh no. Oh no, was it the sirens you were talking about earlier? Yeah, it's bright. We'll get back down. Okay, that's right. I was like, what was in that Pop-Tart? But yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And I have so much fun yapping here and chatting with you guys. I will be on tomorrow. I'm not sure at the exact time because we do have the market. So it just depends on how fast I can load up and get back here in time to stream. I'm hoping I'll still get back here at the normal time to start around 9:30 for me. If I am late, I'll let you guys know in the Discord, like, hey, I might get there at, half an hour late. I might get there a little later. But I'll give you guys updates in the Discord. Alright, but otherwise, have a wonderful night and goodbye!